Hello and welcome to UKVersus. I am back from UK Games Expo. Cameron is back from the convention they were at. We've both had a lot of fun. And how was meeting Bruce Campbell, Cameron?
After 8.5 hours of waiting, pleasant. He's a pleasant man. And he was really excited to see a Universus character based off of his character. He had never seen one in person before.
That's really cool. I mean, I got to meet some of the artists, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. How did he feel about the fact that he was banned before he ever saw tournament play?
He said, and I quote, "Heh, I hate it when that happens."
Now, on the notification that you guys all got, if you looked at it through Facebook and stuff like that, I did say that someone at UK Games Expo in the Universus community was hospitalised over the weekend, and I will tell you about that when we get to the UK Games Expo part. For now, let's start
I
off
didn't see
with
that, so
let's start off with the regional that happened this weekend, which most people were when notified about it was like, oh yeah, there's a regional happening this weekend.
yeah, I actually caught a little bit of the stream Friday. I think I caught round 2, whichever round the Armin versus Devil Jin was. I think that was
Ooh.
round 2.
I'm in
That
three,
was round 2.
4 technically.
Uh, the new one.
Yeah, my boy.
Yeah, yeah. Which hilariously, I played at my locals yesterday, and my other local also brought a different version of him. So it was just Armin weekend apparently.
That's fair. I unfortunately didn't get to see any of it. I was at UK Games Expo Friday evening, and then so I was in a hotel with my little boys. We were just resting after walking like 20,000 steps, and then I just passed out last night. I got back, made some food, and then like 9:30, I just passed out.
No one could blame you.
I know, but look at his top cut. It looks like it was fairly well spread out in terms of representation. We've seen Rhino 2 still up there. We've seen Pony still coming up there with Alex Gurney. Byakugo was King of Swiss. We see Nick Reagan once again maintaining his top 8 status, not ever going really past top 4 because he doesn't want to get touched. And we saw some peak Universes coming out of it. And I've just triggered a lot of people's auditory responses for Sam Tate with that.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Last week I threw together a peak deck just goofing off. I don't own Colossal Swats or Lightning Rods, so I was like, let's see with my like 1.5 boxes or 2 boxes of the new set what I can cobble together, and I ended up going undefeated. So we saw this top 8, and I shared it to my local group, and one of my locals, real funny, says, "Who'd have thunk? Cameron might have been onto something." Like, that sounded a little bit charged.
I mean, Peak has been on people's radar since the reveal. I know David Toombs, when they had the reveal of Peak, were basically just saying, this is Godzilla, but worse. I was going, this is possibly a mistake of a character to print. Because although you have to debuild for everything you do, with reinforcements, with enormous axe,
Giant
with
axe.
weapons clash, enormous axe, with weapons
Enormous
clash,
axe,
there's so much free foundation out there. I mean,
yeah, like Colossus SWAT and
Cluster
all of
SWAT
that.
and Lightning Rod, and the
Lightning
way you
Rod.
can just keep going. Signal Shot.
Signal Shot, yeah, that's another one. What's the best genus one? Always Stylish?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I was playing Will Anderson at locals because I wanted to play something a bit more fun and casual, and I was building like 4 foundations a turn off him because, yeah, you get such free value off it.
Always Cool.
Oh,
Always Cool is the name of the foundation. Both great defense, and you can just build 2 foundations at the end of a turn and be fine.
exactly, and
So
the fact
yeah,
that Pete
Pete's
gets to
pretty
build
fun.
one on face as well.
Yeah.
So the Bakugo, like I don't know if it was actually a casino style list because unfortunately, like I said, I missed it all. And I didn't get a chance to jump in on Broberg's re-streaming of Swiss. He might even still be going.
From what I saw of the first game, because I started watching just the finals before my wife and I went out to brunch. From what I saw of the first game, it didn't seem like he was doing casino things. He seemed like he was playing it very straight. Just rabble rousing into explosive rebuke, He had Vile Seizing in there. So a very just straight Fury. I'm going to punish you for playing a lot of damage reduction. Because with Peak's -2 damage, his Fury is then going to get +3, so he just goes up to +1. So he's a character that on face does not care about characters like Peak
Yeah.
doing or Grog doing all of their damage reduction.
So a great choice for the way that Oceania players kind of play the game. They play straightforward, aggressive kind of universes, and Peak and Grog are ones that they may have anticipated were going to be coming. So being able to go, okay, I'm going to take your -2 and make it into a +1 is a great counter Peak, and we've seen that they went through a number of peaks to get there. It's just unfortunately they couldn't get through John, who was playing at Peak.
Yeah. Also, it looks like no, John was one of the death ones. I was about to say there's Aiden who made top 8 on Order, but was the only Order Peak.
Yeah, I did beat the Death Peak in the mirror, which is Zane,
Yeah.
the national champion as well.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, we got Reiner 2 here. Biako going Swiss champ kind of shocked me a little bit. Like, if I was going to see a 5-hander Swiss champ, I would have thought it would have been Nick Reagan. But then again, I'm one of those who didn't really give Biako much of the light of day.
So thanks to Rocco, I am fully aware of how powerful Byakugo can be. And of course, a big shout out to Scott of the Dobbers, who is also a very good Byakugo player. So the UK community is like well up on how powerful Byakugo can actually be. And it's another kind of those situations of, with all the free resources, and now that Byakugo has access to the ward and stuff to help him unflip his stuff while keeping you oppressed, makes this very powerful. Being able to go flip a weapons clash, unflip a weapons clash, flip a weapons clash is very powerful. Having access to all this quick build and still having access to basically the muscular attack that just goes, I'm unblockable unless you can flip something, but because Peak is destroying all of their things or flipping stuff to get value from it, it makes sense that this character that can pump a lot of damage onto attacks and then go, it's unblockable because you have a full board of face downs, is just gonna wipe.
That does make sense.
I was very surprised we didn't see any one punch Dekus here. They've been coming up quite a lot, and they're just not able to kind of get into top cuts, it seems.
Yeah, I don't even think there were any. Deku didn't even make the pie chart. I will say that Godzilla being 13% of the overall field and none of them topped.
I would say that's because people are kind of ready for Godzilla now at this point. Not the Brave being 5%, although you gotta remember this is only 39 people, so 5% is 5 players, 8 players.
That's still probably more than like UK or the US has seen.
I mean,
I've got a local who's way up on Not the Brave, but yeah, it's interesting.
Not the Brave forecheck is an actual issue, and I love Not the Brave, and I love the forecheck kind of treble. It's just going into Nick Reagan's and Peaks and Devil Jins. You need to be able to survive, and Not doesn't survive on face.
No, you do get the once. I think it's a once per turn that you can omni block something. By spending a momentum. Do you have to commit her for that?
No, Not the Brave is mill 1. This attack.
Yeah, you have to commit to spend 1 momentum after you block an attack. It deals no damage.
Oh, that's the second one. I was thinking the first one for some reason. Yeah.
No, it's Not the Brave Chaotic Meddler.
Yeah.
Was the 5%.
Oh,
you get free speed. I would think that Not has a decent matchup into.
I got it.
Decent might be a stretch into Nick because of that free block and being able to try to race him by milling him out. And then you have a lot of the void sealing, especially with that new action that's the infinity symbol to just try to seal everything that you possibly can.
I'm very surprised we didn't get any Ghidoras, because after the way that Andrew kind of played through his, the way it was able to suppress all these hyper aggros and to draw out these very long games, that he wasn't even on the wheel.
Yeah, but that also could be shiny new toy syndrome. Because we do have like the peaks here, and people might have been expecting a lot of like this aggro AOT 3 stuff, and they teched accordingly with Byakko and Bakugo 4. So they could have just been expecting stuff like that. Like you said, we got 3 peaks here, and Peak was the most represented character.
Yeah, but I mean, just going off, Ghidorah getting access to things like Unyielding and a Moment of Normalcy. You've got such good resets and such board control that it kind of just, to me, would be like, I would have loved to have seen Ghidorah take down another one with this kind of control aspect rather than the kind of aggressive list that we saw on there.
Yeah, but that, like you said earlier, that could just be like the regional, how they play. Maybe the Oceania people are just way more aggressive, kick your face in style players, as opposed to like a slow, control the board style player.
That makes a lot of sense. I know that Guile and other people have basically said, people in Oceania just play good, wholesome Universes. It's not fancy tricks or anything like that. It's just basically we play the game the way it's supposed to be played, kind of thing.
Very much knife edge deathmatch the game. We're just going to stand here and punch each other in the face until someone falls over.
Exactly. But no, congratulations to John. Congratulations to Jake for becoming run-up. I look forward to seeing you guys at Worlds if I get actually able somehow to get enough points to go there. And a huge shout out to everybody else who made it into top 8s. It seemed like you guys had a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in the next few regions as they come up, because I think the next one is Louisville.
Yep, and that's where I'll be.
And you'll be playing Jamie, right?
I'll be playing Jamie. I think I'm on version 4 of the character, and we still don't know everything in that deck.
We don't even know. We don't even know what Drive does yet.
Half of us do. Half of the people on your screen know what Drive does. But it's
I have no idea what Drive does. I'm on here with you. I am waiting for the article. I want to find out everything that Drive can do. But there's a lot of stuff going on in UVS at the minute. There's a lot of people all over the world. We've just had Matt and Levi and other members of staff in the UK. We've got Guile over in Oceania. It's kind of very well spread out. And speaking of Matt and Levi, it was UK Games Expo this weekend. I was there, Matt was there, Levi was there. There was a load of Universus players there. There was a load of critters and other people and card gamers who had seen that UVS were going to be there. Very excited to get out there. And Levi was hospitalised on Saturday.
What did you do to Levi?
I didn't do anything to Levi. I was barely on there. Unfortunately, I didn't enter any of the events. I was there with my little boy, who is very into games as well. So I took him because I thought this would be a great convention for him to go to. A little bit of a pain when I wanted to do stuff, and his ADHD was kind of like, I don't want to sit here and do nothing, so he started kind of acting up. But I still managed to do quite a lot of demos. But Levi, unfortunately, Friday evening, took a bit ill, was put into A&E, and turns out he's got full-blown tonsillitis. Better he find out here when it's not going to cost him a penny than back home.
You're absolutely right. Because in America, we live in a dystopia.
I mean, he'd have probably been seen quicker in America, but it would have cost him a lot more.
No, he wouldn't have. Not unless he was actively dying.
So
they don't see. You go to the emergency room, you're signing up for like a 4-hour wait.
The UVS Universus UK Games Expo story is a very weird one, and it's one I'm going to be very careful with how I word. So for those
that
who
sounds like laws might have been broken.
It's more, I'm not too happy. And I want to be constructive, and I want to give props and dues where they were, but I'm not too happy. So, UK Games Expo, for those who are unaware, is the UK's and Europe's biggest board game convention, to the point where last year Gen Con got over 71,000 attendees. This year,
Holy crap.
UK Games Expo got 72,000 attendees. So this year's UK Games Expo was bigger than Gen Con. And that's not taking into account kids, because kids under 11 get into UK Games Expo for free. They don't need a ticket or anything.
I just might move to the UK, where everything appears to be free and
Yeah, so
all sunshine and rainbows and fairy tale land.
I got my Friday and Saturday ticket. Flynn turned up. He got a cool little lanyard ticket he had. They didn't have to mark him or anything, so there was a bunch of kids there that were just playing for free. And we went and did some demos. But on my way there, I was getting messages, but I need to rewind even further. So, beginning of the year, UVS announced that they're going to be at UK Games Expo. UK Games Expo oversell on spacing. So UVS are already downgraded onto what they could get, or told they're not going to get anything. UVS push and they dig and they do what they can for us to make sure they can honour that agreement that they've said they're going to be there. And they are able to tell us they're going to do 3 events. And they have a little table for UVS admins. But when UVS gets there, the space kind of that they had was cut down even further for other things like Altered and other card games. So they don't have the space that they kind of had. Matt and Levi are there, they're running the events, but they don't really touch the UVS admin table they had. Which was weird for me, because I'd posted on like the Critical Role UK groups and the Reddits and the UK Games Expo Facebooks and Reddits, but we're trying to get people hyped to go, UVS Games are going to be there. Critters, if you're there, go see Matt and Levi. Hopefully they'll be running demos. You can try out the game, you can get involved, and you can get this amazing promo. And I'm driving there, and as soon as the gates open at 9 o'clock, I start getting flooded with messages from people being like, I saw your post, there's no one at your table. I mean, it's not my table, for one.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You are official boots on the ground for the UK, or unofficial boots on the ground for UVS UK.
That's just the kind of thing. It's just, I was getting flooded messages from people, where's your booth? Or, I'm there, but it's just got pieces of paper, and there was no one there. And then about 10 o'clock, they kind of, when the sealed event started, the messages kind of tapered off, but there was still a couple of people. I get there just before 12, because I drove up that morning, and Matt and Levi are at the Ton area. We have a good chat, it's great to see them, and Matt is on there, but it turns out they didn't have Universus demo decks on them. There was no signage on the Friday, there was no way to go, oh, this is where Universus is kind of thing. You had to know Levi or Matt, or know where you were kind of going for, or recognise other people from the community to find them. And so I got to say hi. I say hi to people playing Retro. I bump into Pip Collects and Exandria Collector, who are brand new content creators on the TikTok scene, who have started picking up the game thanks to Critical Role. And that was absolutely amazing. I got a picture with Exandria Collector. Unfortunately, I forgot to get one with Pip. It was really coincidental. We all showed up to the table at the same time. I head off into the convention, come back about 3 o'clock-ish to say bye to everyone, but there's nobody around. And I get that they wanted to do research into other games and we were doing other stuff on there. But the table, I don't think the table was touched all weekend. It just had a piece of paper that said UVS admin. And I know the company was doing the best we had, and as you can see from my pictures, the signage did get there. Saturday the signs went up for UVS Games and Universus, but even Saturday, 3 o'clock, Flynn said he wanted to go home, so I thought, okay, I'm just going to go say bye to Matt and check on how Levi's doing. So I went back to the tournament play area, and there was, again, nobody around at that time, so the UVS table was still untouched. And it sucks, because I know it's a bad situation for them to be in, but not having demo decks on them, not having any way to kind of promote the game at a place that's got 72,000 people looking to try new games and experience new things is just a missed opportunity, in my opinion.
I feel that. Point note before I lose it in the twister that is my mind.
Yeah.
Do you think this would be a cool opportunity for them to maybe contract out then to some UK content creators to manage to watch the booth and interact with people and maybe do demos if they knew they were only going to have Matt and Levi, which obviously this game is small compared to other games. The crew is smaller, so if they had said, "Hey, Brett or the Daubers, we're going to be at UK Games Expo. We're a little short-handed. Could we maybe like contract you guys out for 2 or 3 days to come down, interact with people, maybe do some demos, kind of warm the booth and direct people and kind of talk about the game?" Do you think that would be something that maybe they could look into for next UK Games Expo if they get the chance?
So next UK Games Expo, I imagine it's going to be a lot bigger. I think this was a trial run, like foot in the water, and a bit of this is on me because I saw they're going to be at UK Games Expo, and my head just assumed they were going to be doing demos, they were going to be advertising the game. I then went back and actually looked at the stuff, and they never actually said they were going to be doing this stuff. I just assumed they were going to be doing it because it's UVS at UK Games Expo. They ran sealed with 8 players. They had retro with 5 players, and they didn't have enough people show up for teams. And part of that is going to be the events weren't advertised. They weren't on the UK Games Expo site, which is where a lot of people are looking for because that's where the tournaments used to go. They were on UGN, but it was never announced like sign-ups were open, or there was no advertising done for it. And I want,
Yeah, and when the expo itself doesn't help you, that's kind of holding you back a little bit too.
but I don't know how you get them on the website. I don't know if that's something that UVS had to do. If that's something the website, the Games Expo did. All I know is it feels like this was a kind of test. It was a foot in the water, and it feels like UVS were there, but they weren't there to play Universes. They were there to run events, but they were doing something else.
Maybe they were doing like reconnaissance to see if this is the type of like audience that they could promote to, because sometimes when people think like a games expo, they think like board games and other stuff like that. So it might be like, oh, maybe there's not a lot of card games here, and this wouldn't be worth all of the effort. Or maybe it's like, hey, there are a lot of card game players here, so maybe this is something we should invest in the future.
It's very hard to say because, like I said, this is a convention I've been pushing for them to go to since I joined the game, and it's great to see them here. But it's been a slog for both the company. It's been a slog for the company to get here because UK Games Expo oversold. UVS has been downgraded and downgraded and downgraded and downgraded to the point where they were just on a table organising events. And I get that, but it feels like they could have used it a bit better. Like you said, they could have reached out to ourselves or the Dobbers. They have a working relationship with Patriot. I don't know what's gone on there. I can speculate as much as I want, but we don't know the facts. But as someone who loves this game, as someone who was really hyped and was pushing for people to go interact with UVS and demo Universes and get into Universes, and was leveraging the fact that we had Critical Role to get people to go and interact with UVS games at these tables and at these stalls, it sucks because I put my name and reputation out there in the Critical Role community, in the UK Games Expo community, going, go check out Universes, go check out UVS, they'll take care of you, you'll have some fun. And there was nothing there for them really. They were just a bit disappointed. And I get that's on me for assuming they would be doing that stuff when they never said they would.
Bit.
But
But I can also see where you could easily make that assumption because of, Gen Con and other conventions that they've been to where they absolutely did have demos and they had a whole big booth. And I get when the expo is cutting them down shorter and shorter and shorter. Obviously, they're kind of just working with what they got. So maybe this was just an unfortunate happenstance as their first trial attempt, and maybe next time things will go a little bit better and they'll actually be able to provide more.
Yeah, I really do hope that this was just a tester, that they do come back next year, that they push to have bigger spaces, that they can get some cool stuff going on in the sidelines, because, I mean, Star Wars Unlimited had a massive booth. Yu-Gi-Oh had a whole wheel and like drawing system and demo area. It was nuts. Like we were relegated to Hall 4 tournament play, and it wasn't a UVS kind of stand. It was just UVS admin. It was where the judges and the tournament organizers were meant to be sitting to help organize the events. It wasn't a booth kind of thing. So I can understand why they didn't want to run the demos and stuff like that, but it still feels like it was one of those situations where you make the most out of what you've got, and not having demo decks even on them for Universus is, because just even having the demo decks on you. So if people turned up and were like, "Oh yeah, I saw someone on Facebook talking about this. You got the Critical Role promo." He's like, "Yeah, just sit down. We'll do a quick demo," and it was just on there. Flesh and Blood was a massive. So in the open play, like in the tournament play area, where Connor's just mentioned in the chat, there was a huge kind of Flesh and Blood area. You had to. We were sort of in between the board game tournaments and the whole Flesh and Blood kind of area. So there was going to be card gamers at the Flesh and Blood kind of booth. So there was a good opportunity for someone to see UVS Games Universus, see all these cards, and just come and do a demo. And I get it's kind of one of these situations where it went from bad to worse with Levi being hospitalized, and I did get to meet a potential new UVS Games employee, because I did get to like watch the tournament a little bit with me and Flynn while Matt had to run off and quickly do something else. He was gone a couple of seconds, but like I got to play God for a little bit. But yeah,
never give this man that kind of power.
But it's just one of those things that I would have if they'd literally just messaged me and be like, "Do you mind sitting there doing demos all day?" I was like, "Yeah, just cover my hotel and cover my entry, and I will sit there and demo all day."
Yeah,
that's all.
And I'm sure they might get free passes for like the employees for the convention, so they could probably just get you an employee badge, so you wouldn't have to do that. Because that's what happened when I did the Tokyo and Tulsa convention. I actually worked with a store that I was working with, and we were just in this giant hall where some of the shops were, and then it was all like Warhammer 40K, and I was just off to the side at a little table with a giant blown up Mortal Kombat card that the store got to show off, and I was just like, "Hey, anyone who wants to walk by, anyone want to do a Universus demo, or UFS as it was at the time?" And I think I worked 14 hours a day for 3 days, and it was harrowing.
It can also be one of the things that we were talking about, things falling through the cracks, and it does suck when it's international players, but the events weren't advertised. It wasn't like there was no articles as to what the plans were going to be, where they were. It wasn't even announced where they were going to be, like in the halls. There was no articles. There was no information kind of dropped. It was, and then it wasn't until one of us found the events on UGN that we even knew the events were live. And I think UVS might be spreading themselves a bit too thin at the minute, with Castle Panic, Roll For It, the Star Trek Star Realms Borg, Riftbound, as well as having to have a presence at IP conventions, card game conventions, regionals. It puts a lot of strain on the company. I mean, Guile,
especially for as small as they are right now.
Exactly. Guile was in Oceania. The Redemption update went live, and they didn't update the date on the Redemption thing. It still said May 19th. It got quickly changed. Don't get me wrong, they quickly got on top of it, but it's one of the things that it's the small cracks when the company's spread out too thin that are starting to show. And as much as I love the game, I told you, if there's anyone watching from UVS, I told you this at the summit. You guys want to be the best card game in the world, I will hold you to that standard. And things are falling through the cracks, and if it feels like the organisation of UK Games Expo, what could be done, what could be organised there, fell through the cracks because it seems to be so much other stuff going on, and people have got so many priorities on top of so many things that when it came down to what can we do at UK Games Expo, it was a last minute kind of conversation that was had, and it was a case of just run the events, take some banners, and then do go speak to game companies and things like, because it would not surprise me if Matt and Levi and the other staff members that came out went around speaking to some of the board game companies that were out there and were looking at acquiring some more board games or expansions or reskins, kind of like what they're doing with Castle Panic and Star Trek Star Realms. And because getting like a... So you like Wise Wizard Game have Hero Quest, and we could and we never know if we could get a cool license. We could have My Hero Academia Quest.
I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Exactly, but I don't want to harp on about it too much, and I really hate being so negative over something that seems like it was out of everybody's control. But it feels like this event fell through some cracks, and I don't know if that's actually what happened. I don't know if this was the plan all along, but how it feels to me, how it feels to other community members I've spoken to, is that it fell through cracks. It wasn't properly advertised. It wasn't properly given the kind of things like that. It wasn't the kind of thing. It wasn't given the kind of grandiose that this kind of event deserves to kind of have. It is the biggest games convention in Europe, and and UVS's first expedition out there should have been a bang, not a whimper. Just give me a second.
It could have also just been a perfect storm of suck where...
So he decided to come in here and then just start heavy breathing next to me because he's being very demanding at the minute. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
What did you say?
The joys of parenthood, everybody.
Yeah.
But it could have also just been, like I said, a perfect storm of suck where it's a weekend where everything that can go wrong will. And hopefully it's more that than, like, intentional stuff falling through the cracks. But like you said, we don't have all the information. No. We don't actually work for the company. We can't say one way or the other. Although he could do a lot of good for the company, just saying. I don't know where you put me on the YouTube because I don't watch these on YouTube if I'm on them because I was here. So I don't know if you, but to me you're to my right. So I'm
you're pointing the right way for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this guy could be a lot of help, boots on the ground in the UK.
I mean,
have you seen how much editing he puts into his videos? He's obviously got time on his hands.
I got to have a nice chat with Levi. I didn't get to see him at Chelmsford. I'd seen Matt literally 2 weeks ago, but it was great to see Matt again. It was great just to be able to chill out with them, and have chats that were not in a regional or at like the summit, and just have some fun. But yeah, I wish at least there'd been a demo. Even if it was the scripted demo, it's like a 5-minute thing. Because, I mean, the Gundam demo, to me, this is what I'm going to go into in a video, that sucked. And I booked a time slot for that, I went back for that, and the guys explained nothing. You sat down, you got your decks, there was a slip of paper there, and they were so overrushed and so overworked that they were trying to explain it, but people were interrupting, so we kind of just read through and we missed some of the rules. And the demo wasn't great, but people were excited to do it, and people were just trying to play those games. And it would have been great if people, like Connor said, were going to the Flesh and Blood area, or were between rounds at the Star Trek miniatures event, or were playing some casual games of Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff like that. Just came over and went, what's this? And you're like, oh yeah, it's Universus. It's great. And it's just one of those things that it isn't a lot of effort to do. And the moment I kind of said, oh yeah, can Flynn have a demo? I was like, we don't have demo decks. And just went through my head, like, why did you not bring demo decks to UKGE? You're here to showcase. Yeah, if you're not here to showcase the game, that's fine. Yeah, that's my fault for assuming you should be. But you should be. This is an opportunity to hit a massive chunk of gamers. I understand when I talk about MCM Expo and people go, oh yeah, it's anime fans, they don't equate into gamers. But UK Games Expo is the one time the gamers are going into a space with an open mind of, I want to try new games. I want to try out everything in there and walk away with some stuff and have some fun. There was a stall that had massive signs that just said free TCG, and my head went, hello, what is this? And he was like, yeah, it's a free... Yeah, it was perfect advertising.
It's like the panel van that drives up that just says free candy, and Brett's like,
yeah,
you don't say.
Free cards. Oh, hello. So that's what I went over, and the guy was like, oh yeah, we've got a free app on Android. We're trying to get it on Steam. We've got it on iPhone already. It's a free card game you can play. We've got some business cards here with the art of the cards on them, and on the back is a QR code. You scan it, you get to play the game. And I thought, this is great, because you've just got massive signs that say free TCG, which is going to get anyone in to play this.
Yeah, it's going to attract a lot of attention, to be sure.
Yeah, it was just a great bit of advertising. And so from there, it was just like, it feels like a wasted opportunity. And I don't know what the conversations were around UK Game Expo. I don't know what quite happened. I know Patriot Games were there in some capacity because I saw Sally and some of the other employees. So I don't know if there was any kind of partnership that could have been done there. But it just sucks that this is how they make their way into the scene. And I've never regretted pushing this game. I've never regretted my decision to love this game, but I find myself regretting pushing this game for UK Games Expo and putting my reputation online for like UK Games Expo and the critters, telling people to go and see UVS because of the showing. Because I love the game, and I think the game it could be great here. And like I said, we don't know what happened with that, but I put my name and reputation on the line to get people to go see Universus here. I put my name out there on Reddit, on Facebook, on YouTube and TikTok, basically saying go see Universus and UVS at UK Games Expo. And when they got there, it would be two very handsome and very charismatic members of staff at a tournament table.
Until there was only one.
Huh?
Until there was only one, because the other had to be hospitalized.
Yeah, until there's only one. At a table.
Get well, Levi.
At the table, running the tournaments with no demos. Still had the very cool promos, but it just feels like it could have been more.
And I can definitely empathize with that. Although, speaking of demos, I actually did some demos at one of my new locals, and realized that I had not updated my character book since AOT 1.
Oh.
So how long ago was that? I used to have a book with,
August last year.
Oh, holy crap. It's even longer than I thought.
Yeah, because this weekend I got notifications going, memory, here's your memories. I was at Summit 1 this time last year.
Oh, yeah. Crap, that was...
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is June 1st. Holy crap.
June 1st. Happy Pride Month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be proud.
Be proud of who you are, and remember that UKVersus is a safe place for anyone and everyone, no matter what your sex, colour, creed, or gender.
If we are character cards, we have the ally keyword.
I mean, it was that's what today was probably going to be. just talking about the influx of LGBTQ community characters we got, because everyone in Critical Role is bisexual, pansexual, or gay.
I did not know that.
Oh, did you?
But
oh no, yeah.
We just like beat the spiders and lost Pike for a while. That's where I'm at because I slowed down on the whole listening to Critical Role thing. So I'm still way behind, man. Pike's taking a break, rebuilding a temple.
Even at that point, you should still. Even at that point, you should still know that Vax and Sean Gilmore hook up.
Yes.
Yeah.
For a second, you said Vax. I thought Vex, and I was like, no, that's not right.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah, there's
he's
a whole.
Vex. She's Vax.
Yeah, there's a whole thing of Keyleth.
Yeah, I remember Gilmore. Gilmore was hilarious.
Keyleth being into both Vex and Vax.
I did not know that one.
When Tarion leaves,
I know Grog's into Kima, and she's having none of that.
Grog just likes women. Grog's the straight character, but he doesn't do romance.
He just lost a fight in a pit to a champion that half orc, and he took it so hard, and it was so funny. I love it.
That damn racial ability did him in. The one where he gets to stay.
America does not have any issues with racial abilities, let's just say, but
the half orc racial ability that that lets him stay at one HP. Yeah, that's what got Grog in. But yeah, I mean, Scanlan's pansexual. He'll sleep with.
Scanlan's horny. That's all it is.
Percy is straight, but bi-curious at best. Tarion Derrington has canonically slept with women, but when giving his speech to his father about his future, says that the man he wants to marry he would love them to be anything like Percy. So Tarion is bisexual there. Yeah, I mean
interesting.
Yeah, the entire the cast kind of promotes LGBTQ, and if you are looking for Pride merch, go check out Critical Role. They've just got a new shirt out that says, "How do you want to slay this?" And I love that.
That's hilarious. But rolling back to the whole demo thing, but I realized I have this character book that I carry around that has 3 of every character in standard legal rotation, and I hadn't updated it since AOT 1. And I still had My Hero Academia Crimson Rampage cards in there. It took me 2 days to redo this book. So now I have at least 2 to 3 cards of every character, every promo character, the champion characters in this book. And that struck me as something that they could, UVS Games could do with these things. They could have books of just the character cards and just give out characters for free as a way to advertise. Like, hey, you're into My Hero Academia, your favorite character's Endeavor. Here's a free Endeavor 3. It doesn't have to be the hollow ones or anything alternate. Just bring a book with 3 in each slide, and it's okay, cool. When that one gets low, just put 2 more in there. Yeah. But it could just be a cool kind of cheap way of just advertising.
Similar to the first HLC where we were doing the League of Villains stuff, and they had character cards printed specifically for that event in case you didn't get a character you wanted to play. You're okay, here, because characters weren't guaranteed back then.
Oh yeah, back in the dark times.
They handed out special characters, and it was a different kind of print stock, in all honesty. But I don't want to harp on this too much. I don't want to put UK Games in a negative aspect for Universus or in that for too long.
No. It just, again, thought hit my brain. I wanted to get it out before I forgot it.
It's absolutely right, especially
because I know who I am.
Coming off PAX East, coming off how PAX Oceania was done, where they had all the demos and they were working with stores. I went in with high expectations, and I went in pushing the game. And for the first time in a very long time, I'm just disappointed with the way it was handled. Not with the staff. The staff were lovely. Just how it was all handled.
Yeah.
It was great seeing Levi. It was great seeing Matt. It was great having the chats. I just wish I could have got Flynn a demo. I wish I could have been able to go around the convention going, sitting at like all the demos I did because I wanted to try other TCGs to basically do a video series of going Universus players as a Universus player. How do I find Altered, Star Trek Unlimited, Star Wars Unlimited, and stuff like that. And then while I was there, I could be chatting to people going, "Oh yeah, you should go check out Universus way here," but I couldn't do that. I wanted to be like a sleeper agent. But I did get to meet some very cool people that were there, which is Erin and Will Kirkby, who did the art on some of the Critical Role cards.
Yeah, you were telling me before we started recording that you were just running around all over the place getting free autographs.
So Erin, I didn't know was going to be there, but was at MCM, so I got my To the Grave, Powering the Blight Staff, and Decompose signed at MCM by Robin last week. But Robin was unable to get me a comic of the Caduceus clay that Erin worked on. So luckily, they were able to get me. I was able to buy the comic and get the signature there, and then Pip and Exandria Collector went and got more cards signed, so that was really cool for Erin. And then on the Friday night, I was just scrolling through Twitter, and I see Will Kirkby post going, "Oh, yeah, I'm at UK Games Expo, and I'm here in this little corner. Come say hi." And I was like, son of a bitch. I didn't bring a single card with me. So I jumped to my...
Just add him on Twitter. You need to bring this up ahead of time.
Oh no, I just put a comment there going, "And me without my Universus cards." And then I remembered that the internet exists. So I jumped on Discord, I jumped on Facebook, and I literally went, "Yeah, who's got Nonagon's tea? I've got him here. Who's got Nonagon tea preparation, a day relaxing, and peaceful rebukes for me? Because Will Kirkby's here, and I want to get him signed." And Thomas Horrocks, the absolute legend that he is, went, "Yeah, I can sort you out. Do you know how much it's going to be for signing?" I went, "I have no idea how much it's going to be for signing. But I'm going to buy a comic off him, so I'm going to try and get them done for free." And so I went, and he wasn't at the booth when I got there, so I'm stood there with Flynn for like 10 minutes, and Flynn's going, "I'm getting bored." I went, "I know you're getting bored, but I'm not leaving without these signatures." So we went and looked at like the Pokemon cards that were directly across from us. Will comes back. I got, "Love your art style. Everyone in the community loves your art style." People, not only is Nonagon a very powerful card in this game, he's like, "That's great. I love that I'm on a powerful card." But it's also one of the funkiest looking cards that we have. And then
to say the least.
Yeah, and then I go, "Do you mind signing them?" He goes, "Yeah," and just outright signs them. I was like, "Oh, cool." Yeah. So I got those signed for free, and then I picked up a Not the Brave comic that him and Erin both worked on. So I was then ran all the way to the other side of the convention with Flynn to where Erin was, and I was like, "Yeah, I was just seeing Will, and he had a comic you both worked on," and she was like, "Yeah, it was great working with Will." I was like, "Yeah, cool, sign it."
While you're here.
Yeah, it's just like, "Well, I'm here. Yeah, sign it." So it was absolutely great getting to see both of them having that kind of interaction. If we do anything like this again, we need to reach out to these artists. William was telling me that he would have loved to have known about these cards ahead of time. He would have promoted them. He would have send his followers and people to the game to get the art. They absolutely loved signing these cards. It's something that they'd never really done before, and especially for Erin, this was the second week in a row people had asked them to sign cards. So it's kind of like a new experience for the artists. Fortunately, these are artists that I will not be doing interviews with. They didn't work with UVS. All the stuff was done for the comics, and then the card art was ripped directly from the Dark Horse comics. So they didn't really think they had enough to talk about it. But if we do more, maybe we'll have more to talk about.
But they can still send their followers to UVS Games and the Universus card game. So do not let them slide on that. Don't be like, "Hey, it's not too late. You can still send them here. We're still accepting."
It was absolutely great to get to chat with them. The Mighty 9 promo, that was the UK Games Expo, if you took part in the tournament's promo, was done by Max Beach, who is from Arizona. I know this because he messaged me going, that's my art. I was like, yeah, it is. And he's done some very cool art. And honestly, when I started playing this game, I did not think I would spend a lot of my time looking up, organising, and chatting with artists.
Well, that's kind of just your lot in life now. You are the connections guy. So now it's like, okay, we need an artist for this, or we need something for that. You're just like, all right, someone call Brett. He's got a guy who's got a guy.
Oh, no.
And they'll get you a quote.
No.
He'll get back to you within 48 hours.
That's all Hitch. I don't know how Hitch does it. I mean,
Well, it's you now, brother.
No, it's. I'm trying to think of like the basic way to put it. If I'm Pumat Soul, Hitch is Sean Gilmore. I have the fancy store, and I like have all the cool like hype stuff, and people come in and go, oh cool, but everything was done by somebody else. This is all stuff that's been given to me, and very little I've actually done myself. Whereas Hitch is Sean Gilmore. Hitch is making the armor. Hitch is going on the adventures. Hitch is getting in touch with enchanters and blacksmiths and alchemists and archivists, and he's making and breaking the boundaries of the magical world of the card games. Whereas I'm the person that shows up and goes, these are really cool. I'm going to buy them and sell them at a profit at my store because I'm Pumat Soul. I can transfer your enchantments to other cool things, and I can theorize as to what's going on with them, but I cannot create this stuff. Not a chance. So yeah, huge respect for what Ariel, Sean, Matt, Levi, Guile all do at the company. The more I learn about what they do, the more it's unbelievable that they have free time to do the stuff that they want to do, and the more understandable things like what happened here are. But again, I'm going to go back into a rant on that. Let's move away from that.
Yeah. We don't mean to speak ill. We may be critical, but it's from a place of love, and the fact that we know how much goes into this, just because we understand it doesn't make it less disappointing. But we can understand and we can empathize.
That's the best way to put it. I can understand what happened. I can logically deduce or speculate what happened. I can understand what happened. I can even make it justifiable as to what happened, but it still hurts.
Doesn't make it any less disappointing.
Yeah, it still hurts. It's still a disappointment. It's still turning up to this massive event and just going, here's minimal effort. And I don't know what Universe's actual plan was there, because we didn't get the whole thing, but hopefully we'll get an article from them, and we'll find out what they were doing or what's to come from it. But yeah, it was still really cool. The event overall was still really cool. Flynn beat me a few times in a lot of games, which was great because he had a lot of fun. One of the best things was when I was demoing games. A lot of people were like, have you played this game before? It's like, no, it's just I'm a moderately good Universus player, and this is a very intuitive game, so I'm picking it up pretty quickly. I played the Altered demo, and the demoer was just like, huh. Because have you played Altered?
Are you sharking me right now?
Pretty much. He's like, he was hesitant to give me a promo, because in Altered you have your character and the companion, and you have to win.
Meet them in the middle or whatever.
Yeah, you have to meet them in the middle, and his companion never left the starting point. And it got to the point where I just had to win one of the sides in order to win the entire game. And I just looked at it and went, for the sake of it, I'm going to win both sides just to show you how easy this game is to pick up once you know how to play it.
I've got a friend who's real big into Altered.
We've got Connor saying, this is the first time I can say it. I really don't think it's UVS Games' fault. I made a post as to why I think this this went so yeah. So I'm not blaming UVS for anything that's gone on with UK Games Expo, and we're all kind of aware that their space got limited, that they got relegated and relegated and relegated, and this is kind of like a sliver of a hope of them getting in. But they didn't have a demo deck, and that is what bugs me. Yeah,
If anything, if next year they show up and questions are raised like, weren't these the guys that were here kind of lackluster last time? Just be like, yeah, the airport lost our luggage. That's all we gotta say.
But that's just the kind of thing against me. I can understand that it's not the fault. And UVS Games will never throw UK Games on the bus. It just seems like, yeah, they could have mitigated. They could have made the best out of a bad situation. They could have had demo decks. They could have had something to try and onboard anyone. If they even got 1% of the 72,000 plus people there to demo the game, that's still 720 people. That's more players than we have in the UK at the minute.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
I almost said there's too many, but I don't want to discourage getting people into the game. But man, my inner introvert just cringed really, really hard.
No, it's just one of those things that
my outer introvert.
When it was at UK Games Expo, the announcers going, this is the biggest Games Expo in Europe, possibly the world. I was like, surely Gen Con's bigger. So when I looked, it's like, oh no, they're pretty much even. And it explains why we had people who have come from America, and like the games companies come over from America, like UVS Games, like Altered, like Star Wars Unlimited, and they hunker down here for things like the tournaments. We see Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, Pokemon set up tournaments and do basic demos at things like MCM Expo, but they go all out for UK Games Expo because this is an onboarding event. This is where people are coming in with the expressed opinion of trying new things, of expanding their horizons, and this is the best time to catch them because people have it ingrained in the head of going, I want to try everything, because that's what I went in with. I went in with this thing of, Flynn will try anything that sees him get there. I want to try every single TCG I can and see how they stack up with how I feel when I play Universus, because I can make content out of that.
Yeah, that is true. Me, I've only got room in my life for one game, and right now that's Universus. So
yeah, but
as long as it keeps going great, I'm still sticking with it because I don't have room in my budget for 2 games.
No, but if you are at Gen Con and they have exclusive promos for taking part in the demos, or even just demo decks, like I've got a One Piece demo deck now, and it costs you absolutely nothing to take part in these demos, you'd give them a go.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. If I got nothing better to do. I did try One Piece at one time, until I found out that no store around me had tournaments at a time I could get there. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. I cobbled this deck together from TCG Player, and I have nowhere to play it.
One Piece was a weird one, I'm not going to lie. The fact that you can take your resources and stack them on your character or leader to increase their power was not explained to us. We were just like there raw dogging attacks because we didn't know we could increase the power. We didn't know.
And then I think who's the company? Was it Bandai that did doing Union Arena?
Possibly. I'm not too.
I think it's Bandai.
Union Arena wasn't there.
They sent me a 2-player demo like kit that I just randomly got in the mail for absolutely no good reason. And I was like, what the hell is this? It was like a Jujutsu Kaisen and a, I want to say Bleach?
Yeah, Bleach is on their list. That's cool, though.
I think that was the two, and I was just like, okay. No, I don't know why you sent me this, but...
I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on at the minute. We've just, the Leaky Teacup were doing some stealth promotions. They were selling Universus cards and other stuff, and I bought some stuff from them and they chucked me some Alpha Clash, so I'm going to do some Alpha Clash opening and try and figure out how that game's played. Riftbound invited a bunch of stars and content creators over the last few weeks to go to Riot HQ. I would have loved to go to Riot HQ and taken part in Riftbound. I've been seeing people on TikTok doing it, so Riot. If you want to send me demo decks, I would love to play some.
Just getting your foot in all sorts of doors.
I've been saying this to a few people. I want to expand UKVersus into other things, but I don't want to go too far. I don't want to outstretch myself. Channels that don't have a clear goal, a clear theme, don't do well. Channels that... So you'll have board game reviewers who will jump from game to game and they'll review them, but they won't stick to a single game. So it's like one of those things. I couldn't make my theory videos on things like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon because the lore's already there. People are already doing it, and it's all already kind of out there. But I can for Universus. But if I start making Magic content on top of my Universus stuff, my channel becomes very muddy, it becomes very unclear what its purpose is, and it's going to get hit. But if I can just step out a little bit from the Universus umbrella into the wider UVS Games umbrella and cover Star Trek, Star Realms, Roll For It, Castle Panic, Riftbound, Universus, and other games that they come out, I get to have my diversity, but keep my clear message of I am a UVS content creator, not a Universus content creator.
That makes sense. Like, I've actually been struggling. Those of you who may follow me for some reason on my personal channel, UVS Hermit, might notice that I'm not uploading as much lately. I've been very busy. But I've also been struggling with content and trying to figure out what I want to do, which is why I've actually stumbled into a new project I'm working on. I just have to wait until the banned and errata list this coming week, because I may have screwed up the order in which I'm doing this project, because I didn't think about bans and erratas.
That happened with me before the summit. I had my Turtles video ready to go. I thought, I'll do it next week. And then I realised, I better put this up before the summit. So I had to jump it down a load. But yeah, with the Summit 1 anniversary, it's kind of reminding me that after Summit 1, I came out and was like, I'm going to make content. And I have been making content 5 days.
Yes, boy, howdy you have.
I've been making content 5 days a week for about a year now.
Yep, you can tell by the bags under his eyes.
Which is kind of, I've always had those, which is kind of nuts. And I've kind of grown into my niche as this variety content creator that doesn't do deck profiles, doesn't really do gameplay. It's more just variety content, and
it's very entertaining.
Yeah,
as someone who consumes UKVersus content outside of the podcast that I am on, it is very entertaining. It is very fun to listen to at work and keeps me on a level head.
Yeah, and I want to keep it growing. I want to keep getting better. I want to keep advancing it as far as I can, and it's something I'm going to keep doing. But we're not here to talk about the channel and the growth and what I want to do. We can do an entire thing of content creator growth and stuff like that. But I'm happy with how the channel's doing. If I had 80 more subscribers and could get that 500 and get monetized, that'd be great. But
you heard him. Check the subscription, ring the bell, content things.
If you are not already subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. We've got some really cool stuff coming out. I even have some hot mic footage from the summit that I'm trying to get approved, but it might not. Ooh. But it might turn into an interview with design, and that is something I've been trying to get for a year now. But
dope.
Speaking of design, speaking of the future, and speaking of your future series, bans and erratas. I've not really got anything up for this. I'm just going to go back to like my little regional thing here. Boop boop. So bans and erratas. It's been the topic of discussion on Discord. It's been something that people have been chatting about, and I did put in there that I think City Rampage is going to get a hit. I'm just going to say it right now. That was a troll. That was me just coming up with the top card in my head, and when I was called out and going, "Why do you think City Rampage is going to get a hit?" I just vaguely said, "For the combo," because I just wanted to like start a conversation. In all honesty,
as someone who only won a game as Jamie by playing 3 City Rampages into 2 attacks because that's all I had in my hand. Please don't. But
So
then again, who knows what version 5 or 6 of Jamie's going to look like, so I might not be on water with City Rampage, I might go back to air and
now,
do kicks things.
someone did point out that you can play City Rampage, use military airship to pick up City Rampage, then play it again, which seems very silly.
Could. You get +4 to your check, but you still only get the +1/+1. But when Jamie's stacking 3/3 and 4/4, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would do like City Rampage into aerial reinforcements. Reinforcements into Jamie's like 2/2 or 3/3. So all my stuff's getting like 5/5.
The +1/+1 on City Rampage is a static, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we block with it, and then we use the new drive.
Yep.
Not reversal attack, because I swear you can use it in your opponent's turn. I am waiting for the article to confirm this, but I swear
it says after an attack is completely blocked. It does not specify yours or your rivals.
I know American English isn't the same as English, but we can all agree that attack can be played in the opponent's turn.
We fought a whole war over this, buddy.
But that means
it wasn't about the T. It was about the fact that you have a bunch of made-up letters in words that don't exist.
So you get the opposite effect there of you don't get the +2 to the check, but the drive attack's already cheaper. But you get if you block with City Rampage, you get the +1/+1.
See, it just reminds me of that Eddie Izzard thing. You know, Americans, we spell it through, THRU, and that makes sense because here in England we spell it thruff, and that's trying to cheat at Scrabble.
So after Albuquerque, I got my nickname changed in Discord to the UK's favourite player, but they spelt it with a U, and I went, just for clarification, because the Americans said I was the favourite, we should probably drop the U from the favourite, and they went, okay, that's fair. But yes, so what is on your kind of touch list? What do you think needs to be hit?
So I don't know if I'm... Well, as like the teacher channel for Universus, I've always been very basic with my content, and part of the reason I haven't branched out into competitive yet is because I don't compete a lot. I only go to 1 or 2 events a year, so I don't feel like I have that kind of experience to talk about that. I've never played against a Nick Reagan or a Devil Jin because my locals don't have them built or don't understand quite how they work. So a lot of my going into tournaments, like, okay, this is what I'm going to face, is very theory-based. It's studying the characters, studying the decks, which is why I didn't necessarily think that vertical maneuvering equipment was an issue, but that's an argument for another day, because...
Quickly to go into that, I don't think vertical maneuvering equipment was the issue, and I will die... So, one of the things I used to say, Richard, and I'll bring it back here, is I won't die on this hill, but I will kill on this hill. Is that...
I love that. I say that to people all the time. If this is the hill you want me to kill you on, that's fine, but...
But yeah, that's the thing I think. I don't think VME is the issue. I think the amount of free momentum you could get, even outside of Mitchell Cimino, was the issue.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I see a lot of people like complaining about Nick Reagan and how consistent he is as a 5-hander running all these bad checks. And I do see that, like, okay, it's a 100-card deck. Obviously, there's... I think the 4 checks cast, when Justin Birch comes back, was going to start talking about stuff like that, like maybe limiting deck size or what have you. But I'm not sure. Like, on paper, I know how to beat Nick Reagan. The paper's right here, actually, because that's the new series I'm doing. I'm going to be going over how to beat meta-relevant threats. And I chose to start with Nick Reagan before I thought, oh, he might get touched in June, so maybe I should hold off on that for a week. But I could see them maybe... Man, it'd be really rude to hit a champ card. Although they've done it before. They did Errata Tim Keefe 2. Because when Tim Keefe made Tim Keefe 2, he didn't realize how broken it was going to be. So I don't know if they would hit a new champ card that quickly, but I'm also struggling to think of what else could... Like, what else has made, like, a serious splash? They already hit Devil Jin, and sure, he's not, like, half of the field anymore, but he's still showing up. But he's
Oh, yeah.
showing up at a respectable amount.
I mean, I got dominated by Aaron, who got top 8 in Albuquerque in round 1, and I debuilt him to 0 foundations, and he still killed me with a string of attacks, because Devil Jin can just do that. Uh,
Yeah.
it, it's just one of those things that he's not as defensive anymore, but he doesn't need it. If Devil Jin is fine. It's as much as I have never beaten a Devil Jin since like last year because of the new aggro. Devil Jin's in a fine space. Going.
I could see maybe errataing Titanfall or Falling Titans. I know that deck isn't really doing anything, but they might do some some preventative measures for it.
As someone who has lost to that deck in the last week, it's fine. It takes too much time to set up, and we have enough answers to it. We shouldn't be
Okay.
we shouldn't be touching we shouldn't be touching decks that we can build around. It's one of those things that you should be running nonagons and it's gone. My head now. The
New action.
what?
The new action.
Not the new
Infinity
action.
that
Incredible
deals attacks.
display. You should be running incredible displays and nonagons and genkais and capes, and just ways to go. Cool. Your entire strategy is around this one attack. What if it disappeared from all of existence?
Yeah.
It's like cool. Your entire plan goes around Titanfall, Fallen Titans. Cool. Quemma's Task, Fallen Titans. It's like yeah, good game.
Yeah. Bye.
We have answers, and it's something that used to bug me. Not last year, but the year before, when people kept complaining about like hyper aggro, and it's like, oh, my hyper aggro loses this hyper aggro, and it's just like build better. It's like,
Yeah.
just build a deck. If you know that's your loss condition, if that's your loss condition, and you're not building around ways to get around that loss condition, it's not the game that's the problem. It's you as a player. If you are saying the game should conform to my playstyle, rather than I need to upgrade my playstyle to conform to the game, when it's not in a broken situation, when we're not dealing with turn 2 kills, when we're not dealing with basically I don't get to play the game, that's fine. I hate the games kind of like Ymir Lockout, when Ymir could just kind of sit there and gain as much health as you were dealing damage to and just go, you don't get to play the game. Hate that.
Yeah.
Love
or
Immortal
like
shit.
or like the prison recovery girl decks.
Prison Recovery Girl deck. Yeah, exactly. The games where you don't get to play the game. The games that the decks that go, it's turn 3, you're dead. Cool. I got to build 5 foundations and then pass. That's not a fun game. But I can't build around that. I can put stuff in my deck, but if there are plans to kill me turn 3, I need to get lucky to do that. However, Fallen Titans is not that situation. They need to set up backups. They need to set up the way to pass the checks consistently. They need to put stuff out progressive. They need to have a way, and then they also then need to seed the Fallen Titans, which is 1 and 4 cards in a 60 card deck. Yes, I know how statistics work and it gets a lot more likely. But there are going to be games where they don't see one for a very long time, or they're holding it and they go down a hand size because they can't block with it. Fallen Titans,
Yeah.
not an issue if people just build better.
Yeah, I can agree. Like I said, it would. The only thing I could think of was if they were worried about it, to like a preventative maintenance kind of issue. I'm looking at the top 8 from Albuquerque and from OCE, and I'm not really seeing anything. If I had to bet money, I'd probably say that this is going to be a abandoned errata list. Is just like we're watching, we're keeping an eye out. Yes, we know Nick Reagan is a threat. I don't know if we're going to do anything about it yet. So I don't know if we're going to see anything this go round.
I'd like to see military airship get Errata to first enhance.
Military airship.
The commit and freeze, pick up a card from your card pool.
Okay. For some reason, I thought this was a form.
No, it's enhanced, and that's the issue. So for me, it's a case of it's not
so that you can't loop it with.
So you can't loop it with Tasty Rift because it's 2 first enhancers.
Yeah.
Because it's similar to Valentine's, it takes a lot of setup. The issue is once it gets going, you have a lot less answers.
Yeah, I could see that.
You've got things like Disarming Glance, but I think that was errated to your attack. I'd have to double check that one. Or...
Disarming Glance. No. It is response flip after an attack is played. Players cannot play abilities that add cards to their hand during this attack.
Yeah. So
it's not just your attack; it's just during this attack.
Oh, that was changed. It was changed to during this attack, so you could still respond.
Yeah.
But yeah, once the enhanced starts, so you couldn't add Tasty Drift there. There are ways to stop stuff on things like Gravity Well, stop things getting added to hand, but there's a lot less ways to interact with that. Plus, it's such a niche combo that it's a lot harder to tech around. Everyone should be running kind of response hate and things like that. But with the introduction of blitzes, it's a lot harder to enhance hate. And once they get it going, how exactly do you stop it? If they've got 2 Tasty Rifts and 2 airships, how do you stop that?
Yeah, that is kind of tricky. I mean, you kind of got to hope that they just check bad and then run out of support. But even then, man, you just never know. And yeah, it is tricky.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. I could see. I don't know. Again, it would probably have to be a preventative thing because we haven't seen it be an issue yet.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that, unlike Fallen Titans, where the cards you'll be running to negate the responses, to negate killer attacks, would be useful in other situations, the cards you'd have to run to stop the Tasty Rift enhance and stuff would be kind of specific for that matchup. Apart from Asset Hate, which kind of everyone should be running.
Yeah, at the very least on your sideboard, just in case.
Yeah, but there's not as much that I can think of. If you're on Death, you've got the Mirko attacks. If you're on Order or Void, you've got Hacker Extraordinaire, which is which is great and probably the best one we have. But there's a lot of unflip now that makes that kind of harder to do.
We've got that new Devastating Loss, ultra rare death asset or Foundation sacrifice, destroy 1 rival asset or backup.
Yeah, but if you're playing on, say, Order or you got Hacker, but if you're playing on Chaos Reiner, how do you deal with assets?
Chaos Reiner and okay, so he's Chaos and what?
Chaos. Oh, that's a good question. Probably Death. Probably could. But if you play
off Death, you have that Foundation that I just said, and you have collateral damage.
There's probably more ways than I was thinking about. Then I'm probably can think of. You've got Kraken to commit it, but it's gonna be frozen anyway, so it's not gonna make that much of a difference.
Decayed Awaken, just clear the whole board.
You laugh.
No one needs to deal with this anymore.
You laugh, but Garrett Brett was running 4 of those in his exhibition deck.
Oh, I did not know that. That's hilarious. I didn't watch the exhibition match.
I did
build Garrett Brett on my very first solo stream, though.
Ah.
That was fun. I figured out how to manage Twitch, although the first 5 or 6 minutes of the stream is just me looking from one screen to another, trying to figure out if it's on or not.
I've got a lovely interview with him going live next week, and I've got to edit my interview with Will because I took a couple of days for UK Games Expo. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I can see as an issue.
Ooh, Pass Through Walls. That's a good anti-asset card.
I thought passing through wall was action and breaker.
It's on an asset. Flip after your rival plays an ability on an asset.
Oh,
Cancel it.
okay. I thought it was action. No, that's pretty fair.
And that's all Chaos and Void. And Void has a lot of really good pieces right now.
Well, you've proven me wrong. There is enough asset hate.
You could, if you're really cheeky, you could do Up in Flames if they don't have any foundations with keywords in their card pool on your turn. You'd be like, cool, I'm just gonna add that asset up to your card pool, and you're just gonna have to frickin' deal with it.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that asset hate has become a lot more prevalent, and the sideboards are getting a lot wider, kind of thing.
Yeah, as more general threats are showing up, it's not going to be as niche.
It's kind of what, as Andrew said in my interview with him, when building your decks for competitive events now, you need to think about what you're seeing in top cuts and build your deck to counter the top cut decks that you're going to see, because you'll face them in Swiss as you get higher up, and then have your sideboard ready for everything else. You need to kind of reverse sideboard. Rather than having your sideboard ready to counter the top cut decks, your deck needs to be top cut ready in Swiss and fringe ready in the sideboard.
See, that's exactly what I did going into US Nats, and I only played one meta relevant deck all day. And all through Swiss, and I was mad about it. Everything else was something I had not prepped for, and it is only by the grace of being able to think on my feet and having such a wide game knowledge of this game that I was able to not go like 1-7 or 1-6 or however many games we played, only winning one match that was against Snuggie.
Oh, nice.
Playing Godzilla. That was the only meta deck I faced all weekend, and I was mad about it. Although he did say he learned how to play from watching me, and right after telling me he was a professional Twitch streamer, I told him he's not allowed to say that. Like, you're a professional, you don't get to say you learned from me. That doesn't happen.
I mean, you are the education guy, so it does make sense.
True, and the education guy's branching out into new education coming hopefully in the next week or so. And I'm actually learning how to start streaming. I might be streaming tomorrow around 8 p.m. Central Time, US. Building some really fun, hilarious decks that me and one of my locals were talking about this weekend around a certain new Attack on Titan Apocalypse card.
Ooh. It just means that the class is graduating from Universus 101 to Universus 102.
Yep. Or 201, depending on which system you use.
Oh. I don't know the American system, in all honesty.
That's fine. Neither do I. I didn't go to college. I didn't have the money. I went straight into the workforce.
I studied law, and now I make content for a card game.
Hey, I mean, that's just how another big video game content creator, Bob Meiskins, he was in law school, like about to become a lawyer, and he stopped and just is doing content creation. That's his full-time job now, so it can work.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You can study law and not do a damn thing about it and still be successful.
It's one of those
Follow
things
your dreams,
that,
kids.
honestly, it's one of those things that someone should really do a study on. The amount of people with law degrees that play card games is ridiculous.
Well, it kind of makes sense when you think about like the tactics of it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a lawyer until I realized I couldn't talk in front of people.
Oh, you see, that's why the British system's great, because we have it divided. We have the solicitor who does all the paperwork and like does all like the strategic stuff, and then they just fob it
And
up.
the counselor.
Yeah, then you just fob it off to a barrister who gets to wear the robe and the wig and gets to like argue and stuff and like implement the strategies that you've worked on with each other.
Side tangent, Link. What is the deal with the wig? Because I do watch a lot of like British crime shows. I love British Law and Order, and Broadchurch is one of my favorite shows of all time. What is with the wig?
It's literally just tradition. It's what barristers wear to like unify that they are barristers. We have So we have a lot of traditions, and we even have laws that are not written down anywhere, that are not written down anywhere, that are traditional laws. Fun fact: most of your housing laws in America still use our traditional laws. They're called common laws. They're not passed by the government. They're not passed by the king or the prime minister. They're just things that have been in place long enough. And we have judicial precedent, which is where judges make a ruling about the law, and then that becomes the law. Fun.
Yeah.
If you ever see British Parliament, you'll see that there's a table between our Prime Minister and the opposition, and there's a line on in that table. They're not allowed to cross that line, and that line is 2 sword whips away apart from each other, so that you can't stab your opponent in the middle of a debate.
That's awesome.
Also, in the House of Parliament, once you leave, there's a pub right outside. So
That makes a little
not
too
outside
much
the
sense.
building, outside the hall. You leave the hall, and there's a bar right there, so you can get drunk.
That makes a little too much sense.
Welsh men are prohibited from entering Chester before. Yeah, I know that one. We studied that one in law. I studied that law. There's some really weird and old laws. There's some really disturbing facts about the law as well. I think in America, there's a place where you can drop a donkey out of an airplane legally, like once a year.
I mean, that sounds like something we would do. I wouldn't put it past us. We're insane.
We just had the cheese rolling competition in the UK.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, but we hadn't had any rain all the way through April, so the ground was really dry. So they rolled the cheese, and people started rolling down the hill, and about 5 people got hospitalised with broken bones because the hill was solid. Like, there were people literally, like, diving headfirst into somersaults, and then they're going, "Oh, my back!" It's like, yeah, what do you expect?
I mean, play stupid games. That's all I'm saying. Trying to outrule a cheese
One
wheel.
guy's definitely dead, yeah, Connor. But yeah, it used to be in Chester, it was okay to kill a Welshman after midnight on a Sunday with a crossbow.
We have devolved.
Oh, no.
I think we need to get back on track.
It is still legal in the UK for a pregnant woman to pee in a policeman's hat, but it has to be a bobby. You know how we've got like the policeman with the caps, and you got the policeman with like the hard cone hats.
Yeah.
If a pregnant woman needs the toilet and there's no toilet nearby, they can ask a bobby, one of the ones with the big hard cone hats, for their hat to pee in legally.
All right. This week on the UKVersus podcast.
This week on UKVersus, obscure UK laws that are generally around urination. It is perfectly legal for anyone in the UK to urinate in public as long as they are doing it on the back driver's side tyre and they have their right hand on the car. Fun facts that I
get demonetized.
Fun facts I don't get to talk about that I spent
but
thousands of pounds learning.
Money well spent, sir. Money well spent.
Oh no, it's absolutely great. One of my proudest moments from university is my grandparents bought me some really old like law textbook stories that were like obscure cases. And so I was just reading through them like during the holidays before class. I get back in, and my lawyer goes, "Here's a case that no one has ever solved, that's been around for ages," and it was one of the stories from the thing. And this is how bad my university was. They hadn't updated the like worksheets in about 30 years because 10 years ago at that point, they'd opened the guy's safe and found his diaries where he admitted to committing the crime. So when it came to my turn to present the thing, I'm going, this case is solved. He died before he was caught traveling to Canada with his new girlfriend who he dressed up as a boy, and when they were kissing, it got called out because it was 1920 and that wasn't allowed at the time.
Yeah.
So they were put back to the UK, but they couldn't prove anything, so they got him on lesser charges. But when they opened a friend's safe, they found his diary where he admitted to killing his wife, poisoning them over time, and disposing of the body. But it wasn't opened until 1998. So it was like, and she was like, "That's not true." I went, and I pulled out my book, and I literally showed him. It was like Oxford crime journals, and he was like, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah, your textbook, your worksheets are out of date, mate."
Instant A. You pass.
Yeah. Oh no, I barely passed, but that's that. I could. It's one of those things that I've always been inquisitive and ambitious. I started a new year of university, and I asked a question, and someone just went, "You're Brett, aren't you?" I went, "Yeah." I went, "Yeah, I've been warned about you." It was like, and
Oh,
I sometimes feel that way with Universus when it's like I start chatting to people. I was like, I've been warned about you. It's like, yeah, I get that feeling.
no one has ever said they've been warned about me.
They don't need to be warned about you. Yeah.
No, I am safe and innocent. I am nice.
Yeah,
The most you'll get from me is a deer in the headlights look because I don't know why you're talking to me.
I am an unknown quantity because I do crazy theories and interviews, and I'm very hard to pin down. But we've been going for over 90 minutes. I am still very tired from the weekend, so I think we should call it there before we dive into any more kind of digressions.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll see what happens in the week. We'll come up with a topic for next week. Nothing kind of in the books. Maybe we'll get some shock bans and we can go over. But hopefully we can get some Street Fighter information about the rest of the decks, how Drive works, and we can talk Street Fighters.
Yeah, get on it, UVS Games. I've been waiting for this information for over a year.
We have all been... I've been waiting for this information since the thing dropped, and it's like, if this attack is completely blocked, you may play it at -2 difficulty. Can I do this in my opponent's turn? That's all I care about.
Hard capped said he was going to play Jamie for Louisville before Jamie's effects were even revealed. Trust me, I know. I need to know what all these cards in this deck are so I can start prepping.
How many?
Even more seriously.
How many are you buying? Because you need the alt art. You know this, right?
I don't need the alt art to play.
You need the alt art.
I don't need it to play. I can get it at a time at which I'm not crunched for time.
Yeah, but how's it going to look at Louisville top cuts if you don't have the alt art?
That's fine. They know I'm a cheap ass.
Nah.
I'm a pauper, man. Again, I travel twice a year. The reason I'm called a hermit is because I don't show up. Chris Smith always told me to get down off my mountain. Speaking of which, Chris Smith, where's my take 10? Just saying.
Did I get a take 10 before you?
Yeah, I'm just watching all his take 10s. I'm like, he'll run through people and eventually it'll come around to me.
See,
I remember him from the Guile treatment, right?
I messaged him saying he needs to do a take 10 of himself. Like how I did.
That would be absolutely hilarious.
Like how I did that
Just
Universus
have a split
interview.
screen.
Yeah, like how I did the Universus interview. I was like going back and forth between myself. It's like just that.
Well, here's what he could do. Do a take 10 with me, because that'd be fun. Have me back for another take 10 where I Uno reverse it and I do the questions at him. And I interview him on his own show.
Yeah, I mean...
So there you go. I think we can call it a nice...
We'll leave it there with Cameron calling out Chris Smith to say, where's his take 10? For those of you who have played in Oceania watching, congratulations. I hope you had a lot of fun, because as long as you had fun, you were a winner. For those of you who have locals, any kind of event coming up, best of luck, and let me know what you're playing and how you're liking it. Please do make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. We've got some great content coming up. This week I've got interviews with Garrett Brett, the artist of the alt art Godzilla cards coming up, and some PvE content, as well as whatever else I can get edited. And if you are new to the game, you are looking to learn, head over to UVS Hermit, the best place to learn the basics of the game. And then once you've done that, you can go and beat Cameron, because that's all he knows. He can teach you everything he knows.
Yeah, when they say, those who can't do, teach, yeah. I'm hoping to make sure that in Louisville I can break that, so I'm working real hard.
Yeah, you got to get that top. You got to get that top cuts. It's in your UKVersus contract. You need to top at least one event.
I didn't know that when I signed it. That must have been some very fine print from your very devious legal mind.
No, it's not. It's why you've not got a paycheck yet.
I didn't even know we were getting paid. I offered to do this for free.
Well,
all right, cool.
I'll see. For everyone else, we'll see you at game night. and just remember, it's a game. Have fun. Bye.
Absolutely. Above all else. See ya.